welcome to Bump Love. Today we're excited to have a one pal, Kwezi Kachitahi. We've had her on the show before and we are going to have her as a guest host today. As we slide into our DMs, we have a message from Cinderella Anena who said, "Hello Bump Love, kindly share this to members of our group. I'd like to learn from the mothers on the issue of nursing strike. I recently returned to work. My baby is less than 4 months. He takes formula while I'm away, but when I return in the evening or when home, I try to give the baby breast milk and he can't feed. Baby fusses and cries and turns away from the breast. I still want my baby to breastfeed, mamas. How do you deal with such a challenge? I really want my baby to feed. Thank you in advance. I'll be waiting to hear from you." Ladies, what do you think?
To help Cindy, I would like to start from my experience because I remember I had to return to work after maternity leave, after the 4-month mark. And I remember my son used to breastfeed with no problem. But then when I'd come back home, we would alternate, of course, bottle and breast and my breast. But there was a period when he was rejecting. And I thought maybe it was just one of those things that now he wants to get off the breast. But I really wanted to breastfeed my child, at least for a while. And then I realized, so this came from I had a live-out nanny who I let her know that I'm having this problem with Teja, he's still not breastfeeding. And then she told me, "Ne auntie, omaikati obo perfume botero kwambala. First wait and stop wearing them." So when I learned, so this is the education she gave me at that time. When my son was in my stomach, the only thing I used to use was cocoa butter to help with the stretch marks and things like that. And I forewent any other thing, and I didn't like those strong smells that I used to use before. So all my son knew was cocoa butter. Even after I gave birth and I went back home, again for the stretch marks, cocoa butter. Now we all know, if we are being honest, when we are at home as mothers, we are just there. We don't do anything. We are raw as we can possibly be. Now when I was going back to work, I real changed. I tell now I'm real extreme. I'm real professional. I'm going to a professional playback of work. Perfume here, Vichy there, see my Victoria's Secrets, everything I'm putting, lotion. And I think there was an aversion to it. It was so he would want to feed, but I could see that thing of it. He was so averse about it. So she told me, "You first remove all those things." Wow. And true to be told, actually, then I read about it later, and it is that scent of omwana batamanyi de, those scents sometimes. So for me, in my case, my nursing strike came. It was maybe just 4 days, and when I changed, he went back to breastfeeding and everything was normal. So for you, maybe we can start from there. There's a whole host of reasons why a child will, but for me, that was mine. So we can start from there. And especially since you said you're going back to work, maybe you can try to change, to transition your baby slowly. Don't spray the other perfume that used to spray and then put the other lotion. And yet, Bambi, you were coming from maternity leave and doing nothing. So but I would also advise, like, if a child is not feeding, if they've refused, you assess, start assessing. Don't force your child. Assess what might be wrong. There could be a whole host of reasons. For me, that was mine. So you could check that and see.
Even before the nursing strike, for me, it was just choosing the baby bottle that could look like my boob. Then after, he absolutely loved the bottle and then was rejecting my boob, and then I was pissed off. It's like we really do go through so much. Now you can't wear your favorite perfume which you bought from the airport duty free. All of a sudden now you can't wear. Anyway, my personal experience was my kids did strike, but I wish I had somebody who told me that perfume thing, because I know I am also that drastic. So I'm very sure at 3 months I melee puff everywhere. In the oh yes, perfume in the DM. So I wish I'd known that, because for me, my thought was, and it's also possibly true because I read on it, was that because we'd gotten the right bottle and it looked like a nipple, and they have like bigger holes, and and it's formula and it's more filling. And I've always told you guys, I really struggled with my breast milk. So I think when they got the bottle, they were just like heaven. And then when I would come with my trickles of breast milk, and people are just like, please, we are sorry, but this doesn't feel us. So of course, breastfeeding takes so much longer for them, and then it's so much slower, and then it's not as sweet as formula. So I thought their strike was just because, well, there was a Dr. Doreen shouldn't be hearing me say this, but there was a better option for them in their mind. Sweeter, faster, more, in a huge chunk, and they're done and they can continue with life. So that's what I thought was the reason for my strike. And so for that matter, I would tell Cinderella, Cindy, forgive yourself. Please forgive yourself. You're going to reach a time in your life and realize, wait, hold up. Whether I breastfed my child for 3 months, for 1 week, never breastfed. I was not a breastfed child as an individual. My mom never put the breast in my mouth. And the truth is, there's no difference between any of the 4 of us. You was fed for 6 years, you for 3 years. So get to a place where you can forgive yourself. Do forgive yourself if the baby has refused. The truth is, you can't squeeze it in the mouth. You can't open it. You really can't do nothing. So maybe express and put in a bottle. And then use the bottle so that maybe it can avert your guilt. But if anything that we can advise you, that mom guilt is the first thing you need to take away from your life so that you can continue on. Yeah.
I think I hear both of you and I agree fully. But first, for starters, there's a difference between a nursing strike and self-weaning. And I think that's where we get it. Because with nursing strike, you give it time, you study the environment, like Pumla said. Maybe it's something they've eaten, maybe they are teething, because at 4 months is when most of them are starting to teeth. There's lots of things that cause the nursing strike, but study the environment, find out why. Like you said, yours was perfume, and I'm glad you found someone to tell you, because most times when you're returning to work, you're thinking a lot, you're kind of stressed, you can't concentrate and figure out what the problem could be. But I think, like Manuela said, also my advice would be try expressing, pumping, and putting in the bottle. But for me, majorly, I think I would tell you to pay attention. If it's not gone for too long, they could go back to the regular, what you've been doing. What have you changed in your regular routine as a nursing mother? Go back there and see if they will respond again. Yeah.
And actually, you're the best at this question, because for me, I had the opposite. I have a bottle strike.
Okay. Wow.
My children have not used bottles. I think it's only my firstborn that used a bottle, but for a very short time. Even those ones that look like the breast, but they go from breast to a sippy cup. Yes, so that has been my experience. But I think a lot of the things that you've said are right. The sense on our body, the change in schedule, sometimes even the things that we eat, because foods that we eat come into our breast milk. So if it's something that the child is sensing that's different, they may pull back. So spicy food, hot food also bring that. I think for me, my advice is that this mom needs to focus on what's the purpose for breastfeeding. It's the nutrition for the baby. We know, and science has proved, that breast milk is the best. So if you're not able to actually put the baby on the breast, still express the milk and be able to give the milk to the baby. Then the next thing is that breastfeeding is for bonding. So in this case, I think the mother is missing. You people, for me, I told you I love breastfeeding. We just put the baby and even we both sleep. It's such a beautiful feeling. And I think that's something that she could be missing. So you can still get a little bit of that, in that when you come back home and you have the breast milk in a bottle, be the one to give the baby. as you look at them, as you hold them, as you sing to them, and then find other ways that you can bond with the baby. Please continue that breast milk until the child is 6 months. I think that is very critical. And for more info, even I think about that nursing strike, I think Dr. Mazapkwe would also help as a lactation consultant. So if we can refer her to doctor, she could help to get that mother back to breastfeeding. Pumla said, don't force a baby. Once they test the milk, it could encourage them to come back. Yeah. So that's one tip.
That's a great tip.
It's that really great tip from you, Pal. And like you have heard from the ladies, especially Pal, mom life ain't bad life. Mothering is not suffering. Let's not suffer alone. Continue to send in your questions in the DMs. We shall share. Bye.